is off execute!
Oh my god!
Oh, it's the big boots. This is why they say it's
the Berserker Greaves.
Suffering for fashion. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Drake gonna go down.
Unlucky.
Yeah, 1K gold advantage to Team Heretics. Ooh. I don't want to call it too soon. Actually, I won't call anything because I'm going to cast or curse it. But what I will say is this is a very, very promising start from Team Heretics, and I'm starting to see why they wanted to run back a similar draft. Because, again, this is not what happened in Game 1. It fell apart. It was not nearly this dominant, despite SK fumbling a lot of their early game plans. Team Heretics still weren't able to build much of in terms of a greater advantage, especially in bot lane. But this game, Jack Spectra is showing up.
I think Jamada summarized it on the desk quite well, where despite SK being ahead, and it being one win in this series, Heretics are the ones just playing better, arguably. You know, the game, the early game, the mid game, the transition of leads, the snowball effect has been good by Heretics. It feels like they're the ones in control, just they make these hiccups where all of a sudden things fall apart.
Well,
it happened against SK in their first best of one. Now it's happening again in the first game of this group stage best of 3. They just need to make sure they keep control of the steering wheel. Don't overextend and don't disrespect, because SK
again, DOS just going to have to run.
Oh, close.
Ooh, I'm surprised he didn't just die there, but looks like Jankos didn't want to burn the flash for an extra auto.
I feel like Jankos has got the better hand of Markoon in these early games 2 times in a row now. Ruby, not going to go for it. Decides against it. Could be a 1-for-1 despite him. Oh, we didn't see that, Jankos.
Oh, oopsie. Just trying to backflip into a wall. No worries. Just parkour.
Wicked. Oh, Markoon's on Herald, so at least they get something in return. No play in bot other than denying the creeps, but you can see that CS lead is getting bigger and bigger for Jack Spectra, but Jack Spectra needs to be reliable. I feel like he had one great Draven game. Everything else was, I think, mediocre, suboptimal in some games. But this game, he's in a great spot. Jankos has been playing for him. He's going to get a lot of resources, but he needs to transition this. Mid-game Lucian is so important. It's not a Zeri, where you just sit back, kite back, punish mistakes. I think his Zeri was exceptional. And in the series they played last week, I think Jankos was the one struggling on Vi, and Jack Spectra's game 2 and 3 was not bad. But we need to see more action. We need to see more aggression, more forced plays by Jack Spectra on this Lucian.
And you can see the stats there on the wrong side, because we made those for game 1, but wanted to talk about him anyway. This is a story of 2 very different AD carries. Exekick has kind of been the pride of SK thus far this season, whereas Jack Spectra hasn't been able to show that form. Again, you highlighted that Draven game. He had one really big stand-up moment. He had a pretty solid Kalista game that ultimately resulted in a loss. But now, he is set up 100% for success on a champion that does not get the luxury of scaling to 6 items and sitting back, especially against Azeri.
Yeah.
We need to see him and Mursa control and take over this mid game. And now they can get help from Ruby or Jankos or anyone else where they need it, but we cannot see a dash into a Gnar stun. We cannot see getting caught in a side lane, because this could very quickly result in an SK 2-0 if Team Heretics once again fall prey to some of these individual mistakes.
I've liked Jack Spectra on Zeri. I think his way of kiting back and outplaying people who come onto him is just phenomenal. His Zeri games have been a standout next to the Draven. Just the Lucian. He's played 3 games of Lucian. I think he's lost all the way. He won one of them, I think, against Koi. He needs to get more aggression. He needs to start dashing forwards on these mid waves. So we'll see how he does. He's got the Gale Force now. I think Mandate's being built up here for Mursa.
Gale Force. He has First Strike. He has Ignite. This man can kill people.
He can. And he needs to respect for now, though. He needs to get Jankos down here. He needs to get a little bit of mid-push, some vision. He sees nothing on the map right now other than the tri-bush. There's the ward to spot out Markoon. No flash commit. Jack Spectra's ready for it, so good respect. I think their way of respecting cross maps has been good. Culling, not the best there. DOS with no flash could have been something to punish, but we'll see. He gets the bot push. Dragon's not up for another 1 minute 20 seconds. Jankos is down here. They've got the pressure. They don't have the Herald, though, so I think what they're doing here is they're matching the Vi, stopping them from getting the Herald down.
This is a difficult position again for Jack Spectra to be in. We're putting a lot of pressure on him to perform, and that is how the draft has been set up.
They're backs against the wall, right?
Yeah, it's potentially the last draft of the season, but now they're stepping forward. Jankos on the backside, he needs to get in there, he needs to lay down the Lamb's respite. Sorta's pulling Jankos back into the rest of the team. Still has the Kindred ultimate cooldown up and available. Waiting on the edge there to make it out to safety. Man advantage for SK in the bottom lane, forces Team Heretics back. Azir in the mid lane, though, already pushing.
That's the power of Talia. So the trade-off here is Heretics get plates in mid and a little bit of extra CS, but they've lost 3 flashes on jungle bot. No Vild. Don't think they can really commit to
go
this.
Early. That was not what he wanted, but not too scared of the damage, it seems, without Markoon having ultimate.
Ruby has no soldiers left. I think, Markoon, if he went in there with no flash and he used his Q, he would get pushed into tower by the Azir ult, right? And Ruby might die, but Markoon would die as well. Is it worth to go 1-for-1? Then you can't put the Herald down. So I can kind of get what Markoon was going for. Also for Jankos, that ult might have looked a bit odd, but I think he was scared of the splash damage from the Talia Q hitting Mursa despite him trying to block it. Anyway, in isolation, props to Irrelevant. You know, this is Evi's Cassante, and he's 1k gold up. He's managed to get himself, I think, 2 plates there, and he has a sizable CS lead just by playing in isolation. Needs to be careful here, though. Ooh, almost got ulted into tower.
Not going to get ulted into the tower. Fully stacked the Cole, helping him hold on to that individual gold lead. And yeah, promising game thus far from Irrelevant. The previous game, the Gnar was solid. You know, it did get caught out. Evie was able to find some of those kills, but ultimately able to make a big impact in the fight. See if he can do it again this time. Again, a situation where, like last time, when it comes to ease of execution, we look overall at SK's composition. But Team Heretics this time around, building a much more confident early lead, at least on the bottom side of the lane, or bottom side of the map, and we're just going to have to see how they play this mid game, see if they can hold on to this lead for longer and not let themselves get caught out in a lot of these 5v5s. Is all incoming.
Danger.
This is going to be bad for Irrelevant. Irrelevant needs to make his way away from this one. He's going to try to bounce out, but Evie holding the W. It's beautiful play thus far. He's going to keep going for the dive. Irrelevant going to try to finish the job. One more tower shot finishing off Evie. It will be a 1-for-1 in the end.
Well played, though, by Evie. I think he held his Q3 for so long that Irrelevant tried to dodge around. It eventually expired, but he kept it for so long, managed to dash, managed to gap close, so well played by him. The second he waste down and Irrelevant dodged it, the play is over. So he manages to get the kill, gets his mythic, and now happy days in the top lane. Jack Spectre trying to land the Q there on the X kick, get the chunk, but it won't hit. So top lane still similar situation. Top wave's important. By the looks of the minimap, I think it's pushing into Irrelevant. So that's going to sting for Ebby. But we'll have to see. It's hard to tell with just the minimap. Jack Spectre needs to be careful. No flash. Exakick and DOS have all summoners apart from the heal. Is it Mercer the target? Don't face check that bush. Ooh,
now they're just going to try to burn down Mercer. Wave coming in. Mercer's still standing for now. Yanko's really flash. He's just going to stop the kill. He's ticking. Mercer's still burning on the backside, but it does not matter. They're looking for 2 more kills. Jack Spectre chasing down Dosh. The Wild Grove will keep him alive for now.
Ebby's here. Ebby's in bot lane. I think the wave is terrible top, so he's just saying, I'll roam. If Vi's here, I'm ready for the counter gank. Massive punish there from Heretics. Good heads-up play by SK to look for that initial pick, but Jankos ready to respond. Not enough damage onto Mercer.
Spiny Lobster trying to make his presence known on the map, even if he's a bit of a shrimp on the top side.
So they look for Jack Spectre initially, but then, of course, Mercer is the one who steps up towards the bush, and Jack Spectre is the one who goes for the ward. Split up. This should be a kill here for SK. But the sweeper just gives him enough information to run away. The double knock-up. X-Kick doesn't have flash to flash over it, and then the bubble to follow. Fantastic. As X-Kick's flash came up, he uses it to flash away, I think. I'm not too sure what the flash situation was, but if he flashed over the Nami ult, maybe he could have got the kill with Mercer not having the flash, but then he would probably die anyway. So Marcoon needs to be careful here. No flash for himself.
Review. Marcoon retreating to X-Kick. X-Kick doesn't even have an item completed yet. Jankos knows that they are stronger, so feeling confident to go for this one. The pushback is beautiful for Marcoon to interrupt that one, but still the bubble will connect, finding all the CC they need to take the jungler out. It's Irrelevant on the backside. Nobody can dash out. Nobody can get out of here.
Irrelevant.
Everyone waiting in the Lamb's Respite.
Close to Mega.
All eyes on the Gnar, all eyes on the Mega. Evie trying to buy as much space as he can for his team. Now retreating, unstoppable out, trying to pull them back in, giving his life so the rest of the team can escape as he buys a few more seconds. Nothing here left for him. Exakick will grab the kill in the end.
Will they grab the Herald as well? Marcoon's dead. Ebby's down for 30 seconds. Doesn't look like they're going to go for it. Irrelevant's looking for a little bit of information. They could start it up as Marcoon comes onto the map. There's no real other job here for Irrelevant other than going towards that bot wave, but better to probably just stay with the team here. And it's Irrelevant that's holding SK in this game. 1.6k individual gold lead. Ebby's been dropping a lot of creeps since that solo kill. Marcoon's on the way down. Hex gates are helping out. Ebby has TP. We could have round 2 on our hands here.
Jankos ready to go over the wall. Looking for the steal. The eye, will it open? Not going to happen. Smite now coming in. Marcoon's grabbed that one. Exakick going to leap out to safety with a bit of emote flare to make it out. Daw's going to get tagged by just the edge of the wave. And Certus,
yep.
Nice use of the Talia ultimate just to make sure that play stops in its tracks.
Disengage is good. SK get the objective and they get out. Was close. A couple seconds more and Heretics could have pulled the trigger. Ebby even uses the TP, so stings a bit on live there because he's laning next to Jack Spectre on top. Let's look at this again. Marcoon, you highlighted it, Dracos, in the fight. Good ult, unstoppable to stop the pushback. So he lived just long enough with the aftershock procced that SK could get a little bit of damage in. And I think what Ebby's eyes are on right now is Irrelevant. He sees a Mega Gnar pumping up. He's saying to himself, well, I think if I go in here, maybe the Mega Gnar doesn't go on my team. So he sacrificed himself in a way. That's the only angle I can see that Ebby looked at. Ends up dying. His team escapes. Not the end of the world. It's a 1-for-1. Top tower is going to go down for Heretics despite losing that Herald.
I think no matter what happens there, if you try to retreat into the choke where your team is going, you're going to die.
He has no flash, right?
There's no way out for him at that point. So the best he can do is generate space. Now, at this point, those summoners disconnected messages. That was a pause that happened and was already resolved. Because we are playing online, of course, we have the luxury of a bit of a delay for competitive integrity. So you can ignore the disconnect message. Everything is good. Everything is Gucci. We will continue the game.
SK gonna get that mid tower with the Herald, charge onto tier 2. Similar thing that Heretics did last game. That'll help crack open through mid, but Heretics' eyes aren't on their mid tower, they're on this next dragon. Puts them on soul point. 20 seconds on the spawn. Certus is up towards his top side. I see pings on that top tier 1 there on the minimap from SK. Red pings on the blue tower. I wonder if they're all just gonna go top here and say, you know what? Sack the dragon. We have no chance of fighting it. Let's just try to get some gold, try to force this top tier 2. I think Heretics know it, and when you're in a situation like this, you ideally want to get a second pressure point. You want to push bot, start hitting their bot tier 2, so you can actually cross map effectively rather than just trade 1 for 1. So here comes a push. SK, pretty big wave. I think they can look for 2 towers here. Depends on the information they have, but they're all up here. May as well keep going.
Yep. 4 to 5, actually 5 out of 5. Mid to bottom side for Team Heretics. They're going to grab the third Drake and themselves one step closer to Hextech Soul. 3 out of 4, only 17 minutes in is big, but immediate gold advantage that they have is going to be mitigated somewhat by SK, pushing in a lot of these waves. Ruby will be there to catch that top side, and Yanko's going to grab the dragon. 4 stacks for the Kindred, level 10. Feels like a pretty solid game, pretty big turnaround for Yankos, able to have massive impact in this one.
Heretics in a really good spot now. Lucian's getting towards that third item with almost 18 minutes into this game. So it's on Jack, Spectre, and Ruby to outperform Certus and X-Kick in the fights. Front to back in Heretics' favor in a sense because of the Cassante and the Kindred ult. But SK have the tools to find individual targets. Talia Vi is so good at locking one person down. Jankos needs to make sure he's on the trigger finger with the ult and he isn't getting blown up before he can get it down. Baron spawning in 2 minutes. The game will calm down for a little bit as both teams just kind of get resources, get items before those objectives spawn.
Yep. And there are no Umbral Glaive zombie ward abusers this time around. So
God bless.
vision control not quite as oppressive as it once was. SK sneaking their way in to the bot side jungle.
Can they dive that? 4v1 against the Cassante? Do they have the damage? They're gonna go for it. Heavy, no flash.
Going in. Looking for the lockup, unstoppable, back to safety. Immediately gonna ult just to generate as much distance as possible from the rest of the team. Beautiful footwork coming in from Evie, irrelevant again. Caught out under a tier 2 tower, just like in game 1. This time Yanko's gonna grab the kill.
Oh, Evie.
And the rest of the fight's still going. DOS running, but there's so much damage coming in from this Azir. SK struggling on these dives across both games, but X-Kick now could be the one in trouble. Holding on to his lead for now, ulting immediately, trying to get the fight kicked off, trying to get it out, burning, ticking. Ignite will burn him down. Jack Spectra finding the kill, but the rest of SK now looking for Team Heretics. Ruby still standing, Evie still standing. Messy, messy exchange. Team Heretics holding on to the gold lead.
Q from Certus just goes wide. There goes the only kill that SK could have picked up, but huge plays from Ebby despite being so far down in gold. He's there to respond to SK's plays. Heretics looking to chase any stragglers. Maybe they can find Markun or Certus recalling in a bush. Looks like they won't get anything. They have a bit of vision to work with, but they didn't spot the Talia. Maybe they're pinging this bot brush, see if they're recalling the alcove, but yeah, nothing here. So that's gonna be 3 kills over to Heretics. Jack Spectra making sure he matches Exekick on the flash, punish him, get the kill, don't save your flash and just trade it off and look for the next team fight. Make sure he's snowballing on this Lucian. All comes off the back of SK. Really confusing play. They don't have a big enough wave. If they had 2 waves stacked up here, maybe this is plausible. But the second he dashes past the tower, SK are too hesitant to commit. If they overcommit there and there's an Azir TPing behind them, then they're all just going to get pushed into the rest of Heretics. So they disengage, and DOS here, massive knock from Ebby, runs past Irrelevant, knows he's dead, looks for the support of SK, gets that kill, and then the other 2 of Heretics, Jack Spectre and Mersa, punish X-Kick on midwave.
Big that they're able to get that punish onto X-Kick. Slow down, obviously, the scaling from the Zeri. But a very, again, a very odd sequence of events there. And this is the second time where we've seen kind of these disconnected dies coming from SK, where Irrelevant clearly is confident to step forward, but Cassante feels like the one member on the enemy team where there is risk to diving him. Azir maybe the other one, but they decide to commit all the resources there, turns against him a little bit, but Team Heretics holding on to a decent gold lead. Again, 3 Drakes, 2k gold lead, not bad, even if they are down a tower at this point in the game. Dragon Soul going to be everything. Every dragon for the rest of the game, SK are going to have to be ready to fight and commit resources to.
I think, honestly, Heretics, hang on a second, Markun's charging up the Q. Maybe looking for Jack Spectre, no flash. Certus going in with the wall, miscommunication from SK again. Maybe Irrelevant
to the side, but immediately Team Heretics are just going to turn and burn on him because they see the rest of SK is already backing away. Nara giving him about 50% of his health just to even threaten.
Ult will time out, it won't land. Okay, so Heretics, a lot just happened there. Heretics very scared of losing a fight. They don't want the same scenario as last game where they just randomly get aced and lose the game. Ebby's just quick on the TP. The second he sees a Gnar behind him, he's instantly there. Mersa looks for a little bit towards the end. I mean, the ult should be back up before Dragon. But it's about keeping control.
Yeah, and really this gold is a bit deceptive because Irrelevant's individual lead is 2.5K.
Yeah.
But he has not been a factor in these fights whatsoever. So if Irrelevant is not there, they're like 4 or 5K down. Because you see 2.1K individually for Jack Spectra.
Yeah.
Didn't go for Navori this time. Went for IE. This man is looking to hit hard. And it's a similar story for Ruby in the mid lane. So while the gold at the top of your screen looks not within touching distance, but like a small lead for Team Heretics, it's actually pretty massive if Irrelevant can't find a big ult.
I think they're going to go Nash. Mersa, just, okay, well, I don't think he meant to hit the Nash. I think he wanted the control wards.
You're a fish person. It's a giant purple worm. It's like adjacent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You thought that like, hey, maybe if I just like hit you one time on accident, it'll be cool. No.
No, not going to get away with that. So I think Mersa was putting topside vision because Heretics probably want to trade Baron for this dragon. Maybe they're not even interested in Soul. If all of SK go bot side here, their Nash is really quick. But with Mersa now on the bot side of the river, it looks like that plan is gone. They've dropped it. They want to fight this Soul. They think they're strong enough, and I think they are as well. Look at the item difference between the AD carries. It's a full Infinity Edge over the Zeri.
It's really Irrelevant is the only one with this massive lead. A big Gnarl could define this entire game.
It's just going to proc now. I think Heretics can just wait that Mega Gnar out, so SK are just going to start it. They're saying they're on a timer. Heretics can just stand there and watch it.
7 seconds on ult.
Yeah, he needs that ultimate Certus. SK actually want to wait, but they also need to force because of the Mega Gnar.
Oh, this is such a
up now.
difficult
This is where I think
position
Certus
to
will
be
throw
in.
it.
Certus needs to ult to split the team fight. He's going to do it, and he can catch at least Mersa off on the backside, and now they're looking to break the fight out. They managed to take the dragon away. They deny the soul for now, but Jack Spectra in the back of the pit is doing absolutely nothing. All of that gold, unable to make an impact thus far. Exekick backing off, and SK got what they came for.
Yeah, it was a close. Taliel just came up when the Mega Gnar was available, and it was a 50-50. Now, Team Heretics have a lot of tempo, though. They could just look to rush this Baron down. Marcoon's aware of it. Irrelevant's basing ready to TP in. Doss is based as well to make sure he can refresh ward so they can actually get vision on this Baron. But it's going to be quick. It's going to burn down. Do they have any blue orbs?
Heavy waiting. Channeling out. That means there's no one body blocking. I think they just have to back away from this one. They're too squishy. Baron does too much damage.
Oof, okay, so chips in the armor here from Heretics. Not as clean as they would have wanted it. They really wanted that Baron instead of the Soul, but the plan failed when I think Mersa showed. And then SK managed to steal it away. It was Exekick who secured it, so they must have called a number to burst on. And they did. Mid-tier 2's down, so they can push all the way to the tier 3. And it's not the end of the world for Heretics. They can wait 4 more minutes and get that next Soul point, if they pick it up. But now it's going to be a Baron dance. Nothing else to play for.
And the later we go, the easier it's going to be for Exekick to play a lot of these fights. And it's important to notice, in that fight, item advantages was pretty massively, at least on the bottom side, in favor of Jack Spectra, but short range meant that he could not do a lot.
Yeah, it's hard against the Talia. I think Talia E was down on the Dragon area, so as soon as he dashed over, he's not in range to hit, but he also wants to go forward, so in the end, he's just being hit by the enemy because of the outrange, and he can't fully commit. Heretics dancing around this Baron. They can 2-man it, I think. They could have Ebby and Ruby just 2-man Nash while the rest of them zone them away, or something along those lines. It's probably plausible with the Azir, because he can dash over the walls, but we'll see what they do. Mid waves coming in. 5 stacks for Jankos on this Kindred.
Good poke, Certus.
This looks like deja vu, doesn't it, from game 1. Marcoon's around the back. Heretics needs to be a bit careful here.
Ooh, this is a long flank coming in from Marcoon. Irrelevant stacking up the rage.
They know Marcoon's around here. They don't see him. Here's the wall. They're looking for Azir.
Wall's going to be big. Ruby isolated. Damage is coming in, but he's going to get pushed back into the rest of the team. Now ulting back in. Certus should have the free incentive of his life. Irrelevant! Finding 2 instantly on the backside, but no one follows up. No one is there for him. He is left empty-handed. This man's going to have to buy himself flowers at the back of this team fight because no one else is going to do it. SK finally showing up. But it's a messy exchange. Once again, that ult should have sealed the deal, but it's now Ebby on the backside. Ebby looking for the flank. It is Team Heretics looking to turn, but they are out of carry. Jack Spectra running. Marcoon coming in. Massive shutdown, and again, SK find a fight.
Not again! Straight up 5v5. SK managed to out-team fight Heretics despite them being ahead. How did it fall apart? Jack Spectra was kiting for so long. The bubble looks great. Do they have the damage is my question for that Baron. We'll find out in a few seconds. A lot of things to keep your eyes on here. Ruby, first target for SK. Good damage, but he's holding his stopwatch here. He knows that Marcoon will try to ult him. Stopwatch comes in. Irrelevant now. Look on the left side. Massive gnarled. Like you said, where's the follow-up? SK are just too far away because Exekick's fighting up against Ebby. Look at this bubble from Mersa. Lands just outside the Kindred ult, but they're so low. Now eyes on Marcoon. How much work does he do in this fight? Finds Jankos, gets his flash over the wall, then peels back to help against Ebby, who just took that X-kick, and then Marcoon goes in again, finds Jankos, waits for his next Q, teams up with Doss, next to the support of SK, finds Jack Spectra and Mersa with a Q flash.
And the jungle support carries the entire fight. Exekick didn't really get anything done, and now here we are
Marcoon
again.
hero, and down goes Ruby.
What is going on? It's just fallen apart again for Heretics. These fights just not going in their favor, just overgrouping in mid, and SK have the hard engage, Sejuani Vi, whatever it may be. They can get on top of you, and Exekick was down an item and a half in these fights. It's the solo lanes, jungle support just stepping up here for SK. We talked about Exekick's impact, but the rest of SK showing their caliber. Can Yanko steal it? He could jump in, but he doesn't have the ultimate.
Irrelevant waiting. He's just going to go for the
Irrelevant's
wall. He's just
They're
going to
gonna
stun
finish
him.
now.
He's just going to deny it. 2K getting lower. They're going to burn through the Baron as quickly as they can. And again, SK take a Baron. So many individual fumbles for SK across the series, but when it comes time to stand up, to play well, to perform in these fights, in these clutch scenarios, they are just outmatching Team Heretics.
Is this Heretics just misplaying on mid-waves, or is this SK just having great team fights? I think it's a bit of a mixture of both. SK have really good single target damage. The Vi, the Lulu, the Talia follow-up, and their target selection seems good. But Heretics, yeah, they can never really play together. They really want Evi in the front line, Azir and Lucian hitting, but Evi was split off looking for flanks. And then you're playing 4 range champions kiting back. See this one again here. Looks like Dos got hit back by the Blast Cone, but it doesn't matter because they're looking for the Azir. Trying to finish off blue. Oh, he reset the blue, so he stays for too long, and then they just get Vi ulted. Stopwatches on cooldown.
Yeah.
No team nearby. Bye-bye to the Azir.
Had the vision setup necessary to make that play happen. Again, we are grouping mid lane. Both sides ready to try and 5v5.
It's 3 seconds on the soul. Does Heretics really want to try and fight this? The game could be lost here.
The gold is basically dead even. Surely you can still win a fight if you execute well.
Ruby's so close to Rabadons. That's a massive spike, but it looks like they might take it anyway.
Maybe they can steal it. 4K getting lower. Yankos has no vision in the pit. He
would
should just
die.
be there. Drake.
Yeah.
Relevant off to the side, playing well. Doesn't get clipped by the bubble.
I feel like Heretics should be here.
Oh, now coming in for Marcoon. They're entirely grouped. Gonna get knocked back. Heavy trying to buy as much as he can. Marcoon is all alone, jumping into this one, but they don't have the damage to kill the buy. Marcoon refuses to die, and now Exekick has come to play. Jack Spectre on the retreat. Yankos on the retreat. They're holding on for now. Team Heretics lose the fight, lose the exchange, lose the dragon, but they will hold on to their lives.
Why did they take that fight? They could have just cross-mapped top, taken a Kindred stack, pushed out top, looked for vision top side. They just walked in with no vision, and Ruby was so close to Rabadons. Anyway, SK get the fight. They're going to push down mid. Top lane's being pushed in with from Irrelevant. Nice TP. Using this minute left of Baron will get them a tier 2. But that'll be it. So, Heretics not out of it just yet. That fight didn't lose them the game. They're holding on. They've lost their lead. But I don't think they're out of it just yet. They still have the Azir.
Yankos on 2 items. His gold income slowed down a lot after some of those early plays. Maybe he can do a bit more in these fights, but we look back at this, it's just, it feels messy.
Heretics see nothing. They're blind. There's pink wards everywhere. They have not a single ward. They're just kind of fishing for something, but they have no engage, so it's only Ebi. And look how fast he dies. Ruby gets knocked up, knocked back, has Zhonya's. Yes, doesn't matter. Kindred ult's not even used to save him either. I think Yankos was surprised of the chain CC. Maybe he expected his Zhonya's to come out. Ebi's gone, no frontline. Jack Spectre has to run for his life. No turn available. So now, 30 minutes into the game, building towards these 3-4 item spikes here. Heretics have held on from this Baron push, but now the game is in SK's favor.
And
Walls coming down.
Oh, buying a bit more space. I don't think they're going to overcommit to this one. They can't see the rest of the team. Evi just going to dash to his teammates, make it out to safety.
Yeah. All of SK are here. Baron buffs off in 5. That was the last wave to play for that bot tier 2. I mean, they can try and stay a little bit longer, but they need to push them out somehow. Maybe with a Talia combo. Looks like Heretics are just dropping it. Yeah, no point defending that.
And the problem right now is that for most of these fights, they've been pretty defined by Marcoon, Certus, Irrelevant, DOS. Exekick hasn't been the biggest factor because he's at 2.5 items.
Yep.
But he's gonna hit 3 items soon. He just hit 3 items. And now the Zeri is gonna be a problem too when Team Heretics were already struggling so much to try and team fight.
Yeah.
This game is falling out of their hands again in the same exact way it did in game 1, and it is crushing because it is an elimination game. If you lose here, your season is over.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the top lane gold difference. 4.3k gold to Irrelevant. Almost Flame Horizoning, 2 levels up, almost 3. He's quite close to level 17. This Cassante pick, yes, it's frontline, but it's butter. It's just getting melted straight through by the carries of SK. You can even ignore them. They can look for Vials on the backline. There's no real threat. Whereas Irrelevant is tankier, yes, has Guardian Angel, but also does a lot of damage. So Ebi's trying to find some angles. At this point, he may as well just group up. There's no real reason to sit on a side lane and just do nothing. He has TP, I suppose, so that could be something they can use to catch those side waves. But yeah, 1 minute 50 seconds on Baron. SK are just going to wait for that to spawn. 2 minutes on the Dragon. Roughly same timers. Maybe Heretics can trade a neutral.
Yeah. Again, though, credit to Irrelevant. Struggled sometimes to find the optimum engage angle, has not necessarily, he's had a lot of difficult moments, I think, that will not be counted in his highlight reels of going a bit too aggressive to the team not being on the same page, but statistically, you see that gold and you know this man has been dominating his individual matchup. And Evie, while for a lot of the early game, playing on a single item felt good because you could still threaten the backline, he is no longer a threat, and this is really well and truly where we see the lane gap come to fruition, because Evie could leave and make those plays early on, but now he is almost irredeemably far behind at this point in the game.
He is. SK looking for bot vision. Heretics trying to look for a pick. A little bit of damage onto Marcoon. The Lucian's on 4 items, but
that's 4-item Lucian. That's his whole combo with a Nami.
Yeah, not optimal, really.
And admittedly, it's a tanky frontliner, but that's not a lot of armor on Marcoon quite yet. That's mostly HP.
Ooh, there might be a wall here to separate them. Needs to be careful here. Sort of transit across if they get a bit too overconfident here, Heretics. They have a lot of dashes to get back, but the Nami doesn't, so yeah, Certus on that side. It's just so hard for Heretics to step up.
And I think that's the big thing, is already the compositions are difficult to play without CC, but when there's a random wall that can appear at any moment, that's a massive threat. Yanko's gonna get knocked back, knocked up one more time. It's an absolute bounce house for the Kindred. No chance to push that Lamb's Respite. Perfectly layered CC from the side of SK as they set their sights now. 30 seconds until that Dragon. They can move up to Soul Point themselves. 13 until the Baron. No jungler standing. You have to feel they're going to go for the big purple
It's
worm.
over, yeah. They're going to get Herald, so they're going to get Nash and Soul, and the Dragon, sorry. And then the push is going to come through. The dance was supposed to be around the neutrals, but SK found their window to punish Jankos. It just feels like Heretics lack direction in this late game. It just feels like their only option most of the time is just group up mid. There's no side lane pressure. And yes, their draft this game doesn't really have it, but last game they did. With the Jax,
trying to just steal this one away.
They're just gonna brute force it. So
okay,
Ruby
is just flipping it.
Okay, they tried to commit 4-man, but SK read the play. I
mean, it's tough because sometimes you've got a 2 and a 7, and you just decide that you need to play out that hand. But I respect it. Sometimes you got to take the risk.
Just got to take the all-in.
SK going to grab Baron, and I think an incredibly difficult day for Team Heretics, because for every play they've made in the early game that has seemed good and has made you believe in this team as we've gone mid to late, they've made just as many bad plays to balance it out, and it's just not the way that you want to end your season.
It's not indeed, and with SK now in the driver's seat, it's going to be an exciting matchup in the next round. Of course, we saw the struggle of Vitality against Heretics. Managed to win out though, but SK looking a lot more competitive here.
Yep. Of course, still have to finish this one, but as they're pulling further and further ahead of the gold, we've seen how easy their composition is to execute. It feels like it is all but over.
Yeah, I mean, Heretics have one last Hail Mary, but the problem they have now is the enemy carries are ahead when Heretics had their carries ahead the majority of the game. And they can just play this 1-4, siege it down, see if Heretics can find a big team fight. They have got the range champ, so if they overcommit, yes, they can punish.
Big knockback, goodbye to Ruby, running, scoots now, next to Navy went too deep now, but can they finish? Exekick, Exekick dashing out to safety, he refuses to go down, and his Yanko's now trying to get one more kill, but only Jack Spectra dies.
How's he gone down? SK have lost one of their main carries. Ruby's had to flash away. Bot wave's pushing in. I think Irrelevant's going to base and TP back here. Looking to end on this wave, perhaps, but it looks like they might back away. Health bars are relatively low, but they're going to go towards the mid. Irrelevant's TPing in there, calling his team, saying, move towards mid. We've got a wave. Let's play on that. Try to look for a next objective, next inhibitor. Keep cracking the space of Heretics open. 25 seconds on the Lucian. SK will play around that.
Q channeled, Evie unstoppable again, well played to make it out to safety. Immediately going to be forced to use the Gargoyle Shield, and now going back into the Lamb's Respite. Irrelevant can just toss it back into his team if he wants to, but he's holding on for now. Certus, very aggressive step forward, will not find the flip back into the rest of his team. So it is just going to be the inhibitor.
I need to be careful here. TP behind could be deadly here for SK. Where's Evie? Can he find a ward? There it is. This is it. This is everything for Heretics.
They're so low. There's so many blinking health bars.
He doesn't know where they are.
Evie trying to find the angle.
Doesn't know where they are.
Spotting, he's just guessing at this point, but the Hex Gates!
Yeah, they're out. They're out. That was it. I mean, the idea was good, but they didn't have vision. All of SK was blinking health bars. If they could have got those kills, they would have regained some control of this map, but yeah, that's gonna sting. So we'll look at this bot fight again. So what happened to Jack Spectra? I think there's a pushback here from Certus onto Ruby and Evie. I think he hit both of them. Let's see it again. The Talia, they move towards mid here thinking bot wave's gone, but Evie's overstepping. There's the knock here, both of them are beautiful, so they get a lot of damage onto Ruby. Now eyes on Jack Spectra, dashes forwards, gets the kill, force Q flash from Marcoon. Yeah, no counterplay there, really well played by Marcoon. The second the Lucian dashes forwards, instantly punished. So good engage from SK, staying together. They manage to get bot in it, but they don't get the mid inhibitor.
And shout out, again, Surta's ultimately the one with the really nice scoreline at the end of this game, but big shout out to the jungle support duo of SK.
Yeah.
Making so many of these massive plays. As once again, the Weaver's Wall going to split Team Heretics for a few seconds. 1 minute 55 seconds until Soul is on the table for either team. And to be honest, I think if you're Team Heretics, you kind of wish it was Elder, because that feels like the way you could come back to this game. I don't think Soul is enough. If you get the Soul but lose the fight, the game is over for you. So it's not quite as impactful.
Yeah, maybe they'll try to stall it out. Let's see how aggressive they play it. Do you contest this Soul? I mean, Lelouch is full items, all he needs is boots. The Zeri's not full items just yet, so still gold lead in favor of Jack Spectra. The only issue is your front line is just going to get melted. Yanko's trying to get towards that Lord Dominic's trying to get a little bit of armor pen. Ruby has bought the elixir of sorcery, so looks like Heretics is committing. You don't buy that potion unless you're looking for a fight, or at least trying to stop one from happening. The economy is a bit broken here for Heretics. I don't think there's any more item spikes to get in the next minute. Surta's used the flash in the last fight, so maybe that's something they can look to punish. Has the cleanse and the ghost instead. Not much to cleanse, so we'll see what he uses it for.
Difficult situation for Heretics. Again, walking into the fog of war so hard. Evi should be tanking up to step forward here. I think they got to be a little bit more willing to use the Cassante, but the Cassante also needs to get this farm. So difficult situation to be in. Really just spending their time fighting over scraps of vision.
Yep.
Hope for a better angle on maybe 50-50ing or flanking in a team fight.
Okay, so Heretics is going to brute force through bot. You're leaving mid exposed there. They need to be careful. They could just end the game mid, Heretics. No TP on Ebby. SK aren't showing just yet, so they're not... Actually, they are going to show to try and get this inhibitor. All of Heretics are flushed out of bot lane. That's the only way they can get vision. SK playing it well, just matching what they want to do. The Hex Gate out here from X-Kick, and then move back into the bot side jungle. It's a game of push and pull here from SK.
But again, Team Heretics, just to play the game, have to be willing to bet their mid lane inhibitor. The odds are starting to feel more and more insurmountable.
Yeah, here comes the setup. SK trying to hold this line in the jungle.
Weaver's Wall.
You can see it right there. Surta's just built it.
Leaping over, irrelevant on the side. Jack Spectra leaping in! Holding on for now due to the Lamb's Respite. Marco getting chipped away. Jack Spectra gets flicked back into the rest of the team, but he's still standing. Irrelevant off to the side. 1v1ing versus Ebby. Ruby just going to get taken out, and it is domination from SK. Confidence in the execution is finally X-Kick is going to get to auto attack, do the damage he's been waiting to do all game long. Now on a killing spree. Now with a double, and that is it. The whimper of Heretics. A struggle of a series, but SK will come out on top. A lot to work on, a lot to clean up, but ultimately it is they who will win the day. Heretics knocked out of the winter season as SK move to face Vitality tomorrow.
Yeah.
Was looking for. Hang on. There it is. Right, Jack's Lucian Ride is going to be banned on the side of BDS. Astralis looking to take away both the Ashe and the Zeri. So it looks like, once again, typical AD carry focus. We'll see what the priority now becomes, because remember that Caitlyn is still up and available. Looks like that it will remain so for Crownie. Is this the direction that BDS is looking for? We've seen a lot of Sejuani priority, the cheeky Darius hover from Adam. Very unlikely to be first picked. We know that he has a wealth of champions at his disposal, but we know that he loves to spin as he hovers the Garen as well.
Spinning is kind of a motif that flows through all of Adam's champions,
It's
isn't
true,
it?
yeah. Yeah, 100% is.
At least, however, only spinning webs in
Looks
the
like
jungle. Sheo is going to have that early aggressive jungler. There's the Caitlyn Lux immediately for Kobe and Zhonghung down towards that bottom side.
So what will the response be here for Crownie? And it's going to be Ezreal Karma. Yes, it will be. Unsurprising. Crownie is a very proficient Ezreal player. Going to look to play very safe, leverage his range and poke. As the Sejuani comes out for 1-1-3, one of his tried and true, something that he's very comfortable on, and something that we know he does love to play. Continuing with the lack of Maokai, often we do see the Maokai banned on blue sides, but knowing that Astralis haven't showcased it at all, it looks like that they're going to continue to just let that one through, so the Sejuani will be that pickup. So far, a very well-rounded comp coming from Astralis, very typical front to back, good range, good scaling, very strong early game bot lane presence. Something you'd often expect to see is something that can help you get mid-prio. Silas is something that you should be thinking about, especially in the hands of Dior. It is currently up and available. It pairs very well with the Sejuani. It's something that they can use to fight and then roam down towards the bot, threaten that tower, threaten something like a dive. Wouldn't be surprised to see that banned away from BDS right now.
Silas does make sense. Akali as well works well with the Sejuani in the mid lane. Doesn't give you quite as much push in the lane, but does give you that melee synergy that works so well with Sejuani's E. BDS get the Chase and the Renekton taken away from them. Of course, Renekton at least a tried and true combination. Adam, though, as you've already said, has a plethora of champions that he can pick up there. He plays Dread Knight Darius, he plays Dunkmaster Darius, he plays, I don't know any other Darius, the normal Darius skin.
The normal one.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some other ones in there as
There are
well.
other ones, yeah.
But there, with a Kled ban, the Silas is locked in for Astralis, so called it out, Vetty. BDS deciding it didn't need to be banned, now looking towards their mid and their top laner. Of course, Karma could be flexed. There's the Kassadin, though. Immediately for mid lane, and Olaf for Adam. The Berserker Viking is going to take another trip up towards the top side of the map.
Well, it's a very interesting comp for BDS. They've got a hyper-aggressive, early-game focus, lots of dive, lots of violence topside into scaling.
Yeah,
Passive
Kassadin,
mid,
yeah.
Ezreal, who's looking to leverage his lane, range, poke, and you kind of have two different identities on the side of BDS where, as we already mentioned, topside wants to look for early aggression, wants to try and I guess, be that bridge from the early game into the mid to late game, whereas the bot side of the map is quite happy to just farm, scale, you're likely going to see double tier across the board, like just a lot of levels are what they're waiting for, and they're looking to leverage their range. Sure, they do scale well, but without a real, well, I guess kiting back and things, kind of wanting the enemy to come into you is something that you can look to take advantage of against a champion like Silas, but Astralis gone for a much more conventional approach. Front to back team fighting, solid engage. They have both the Sion and the Sejuani. You have great follow-up with the Silas and the Lux as well. It's just very typical and very straightforward. Not really much more to break down from the side of Astralis. It just comes down to, can they actually enable this bot side of the map? You know that Kobe and Jonghoon will be the lanes that you look to try and play through. We know that Kobe has had, honestly, a fantastic split so far. He's been very, very prominent, a reliable carry for the team, and it makes a lot of sense that they want to put that trust in him. We'll see how BDS approach, because you would expect them to cross map and attack the top side of the map. Can they snowball Adam? Can they find any successful dives against the Sion in the early game? We'll have to wait and see. This is, of course, an elimination match. Winner moves on to face Mad Lions in a best-of-3 tomorrow. The loser will be eliminated from the winter split.
It's a bit of a hectic schedule for whoever wins this. Of course, a less hectic schedule for whoever loses this. You have a 2-week break before we start up the spring split of the LEC. Everything moving at a rapid pace here in Europe right now, and we'll see if BDS and Astralis can start this game off a little more rapidly than the first games of the day. BDS want to put a lot of stock in getting that top side ahead and getting that Olaf ahead so we can run down Kobe and Jonghoon later in the game. If they can't do that, though, the scaling from Astralis, the power in teamfights will be unstoppable. Let's see who takes game one as BDS face off against Astralis. Let's get into it, Betty.
Let's get into it. Ba-do-ba-do-ba-do. That's not a real song. I just made it up on the spot.
That's still a real song.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, you've made it up. You have created it. You have breathed life into those lyrics.
But it doesn't have an ending.
Does a song have to have an ending?
It does, Medic. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's more of a tune.
Interesting.
113. Looking to get a bit of information here. They know exactly what Crownie, Adam, and Labrov were all up to after Jonghoon walked into the lane. And they wanted to try and drop a ward. Hang on, did they actually get that ward? I can't see it. Yes, it looks like they did. The casting icon was covering it. So they will get to see where the Elise is starting and what she will be up to.
Would you be shocked if I say, I think she's going to go top lane at some point in the early game?
That's a fairly safe suggestion. My dear Medius. Your detective work continues to surprise me.
Well, only 5 years on the job so far, Betty.
Only 5 years on the job.
But I do like this from 113. We have seen some Caitlyn Lux lanes kind of left out to dry here in the LEC, and 113 goes Razorbeaks down into the bottom side, can look for an early gank, get level 3 from Blue and Grog, I believe.
I wonder if he is concerned about an invade, because, you know, Caitlyn Lux, often a very powerful lane, strong in the 2 versus 2, but in terms of raw wave clear, Karma has many a supports beat thanks to her low cooldowns and access to the mantra. So you can already see BDS clearing out these waves quickly. The poke is already very strong. And this means that BDS could collapse on the bot side very quickly. And you can see as well, Shio actually doing a full bot side clear. maybe even threatening a potential invade or even a dive on the bot side of the map. And this is something we didn't talk about. While yes, typically you look at Olaf, you look at Elise, very powerful as a a jungle top duo rather. But diving a Scion, like how much value do you really gain from that? Sure, maybe you can get the Olaf ahead a little bit. However, if you take apart the Caitlyn Lux, then all of Astralis' early game suddenly disappears. And you can trust Adam to win in the isolated 1v1. It's good damage.
Yeah, lots of damage coming down onto Lebrov. One more auto is enough to take him down. Kobe's on low now, and Cranny's trading onto him. Kobe will fall first. Jonghyun's going to try and flash away, dodges from the cocoon. Sheo unable to land it there.
So there's good news and there's bad news for both teams. The good news for Astralis is that they were able to find themselves first blood. The bad news is that did go on to Jonghyun. The good news for BDS is that they are able to respond by getting the kill onto Sheo. The bad news is that, well, there's not really that much bad news for them. It's kind of good overall for BDS. They were able to push the wave underneath the tower. The fact that Caitlyn was the one that died means that she's going to lose even more farm. And while Crownie wasn't the one that actually secured the kill, he still finds himself with a very small advantage. So overall, great play from BDS, even though they did end up losing to first blood.
And Crownie still has cleanse and flash for this lane. It does mean Lebrov needs to be a little bit safer. We'll see him get caught out here. The CC potential from a Lux and a Caitlyn is devastating in the early game.
Ooh, nice. Jonghyun kind of made it look like that he was going for an auto attack on that minion. Threw the Q out just as the minion dies. Caught Lebrov off guard, able to set up the trap combined with the binding combo. But of course, Sheo hovering on the bot side of the map meant that he was able to trade back a kill. Nuke now looking to interrupt Dior with that tower shot. Dior, ooh, could look for something. Nuke with a good sidestep. Dior's mana is a little bit low. I think he should really focus on trying to go back to base here. Does of course have the TP, but Nuke does as well, so I guess holding on to that one for the time being as a wave slowly start stacking in bots. Keeping my eyes on the junglers, we can see 113 securing that bot Scuttle Crab, and Sheo actually pathing back towards his Raptors as he's expecting 113 to try and steal them away.
Sheo and 1113 will face each other in the jungle. Sheo no flash, does just have the smite coming off cooldown, and with the control ward will clear out any vision that Astralis had. But 113 will reciprocate by walking back into the jungle and taking this 75 gold off of the map.
Well, the good news for 113 is his bot lane has the push right now. That stacking wave after Crownie and Lebrov push the wave underneath the tower means that Kobe and Jonghyun get to rotate first. On top of the fact that Nuke needs to go back to base, there was a real risk of Sheo not being able to contest those Raptors, but at the end of the day, he's decided, you know what, I'm going to back off. But it's one of those trade situations, you know, 113 is like, oh, my bot lane's pushing, they can come to help me, but on top of that, they have information on where Sheo is, as long as 113 is being a nuisance, which means that the bot lane can continue to push. They just secured their first plate of the game, and this is ideally the position that they would like to stay in as we continue our path through the early game.
Yeah, that battle between Crownie and Kobe is one we really expected to be a key talking point through this series. You can see, although neither of them are, you know, topping the numbers, both these teams middle of the pack coming in out of the regular season. Kobe and Crownie have been such key points for their team's success. Kobe especially, as we see a cocoon hitting here onto 113. He's going to try and get away. Does still have the flash. Ignite is ticking on him, but that shouldn't be enough to burn down the ball, and he will walk back to his own jungle.
45 HP. For those interested at home, you can actually see those very low values in the top right of your screen.
Underneath the player portraits.
Underneath the player portraits,
or the
yes,
champion
yes.
portraits.
Yeah, probably helps, just if whenever the player is low, don't just look at the Sejuani, you know? Yeah. Wouldn't be that helpful.
I do sometimes, though, to get the numbers in a moment, you know?
Yeah, it's actually super helpful. Yeah. Great addition to our overlay, regardless, but I don't think 113 was expecting that amount of burst. We'll force him off with the wave states as they are, with bot wave bouncing back and mid wave actually having the push right now. Crownie needs to be careful, though. I like the play from Jonghyun, just walking up without any fear, knowing where the jungler is.
Lebrov can do the same thing, though. That Mantra W just heals you up so much in the lane if you use it effectively. And Jonghyun and Kobe can try and step around now. Sheo not in the best of shapes as the cocoon goes wide, and Sheo will fall. Lebrov and Crownie now need to get the hell out of here. Nuke coming down with the 6 as well. If Cassidy can get a couple of kills, perhaps he can start snowballing early. There's one. Kobe now caught off down towards the bottom side. No summoners for him. Crownie low as well, but he survives. Another kill for Nuke. Rift Walk is available for him. He's got mana for it as well, but maybe he's looking to go back in. Jumps onto Dale, who flashes away, but is immediately rooted. Nuke still trading in here. 113 trying to survive, but he can't do it. Another kill over to BDS. And what a demolition for them in the bot lane.
Wow, BDS walk away with all the kills. I think that ended up being a 3-for-1 or a 3-for-2. But what an advantage gained for BDS. Sheo, he started off the dragon, but he didn't have any assistance, so that kill ended up being rather slow. That meant the 113, after getting bursted out in the bot tri-bush, could actually go back to base and make his way all the way back to the dragon. The mid-wave had been pushed out as well. And have a look at this. You can see, well, actually, Kassadin is the first one to move. Sheo gets collapsed on, though, thanks to the ignite and the binding from Jonghyun. and the small knockup from 113 means that Sheo can't really escape. Kobe now finds himself in a bit of a tricky spot as Nuke decides to ignore 113 and instead focus down, and now it's Kobe that's getting collapsed on. The damage under Crownie is good, but the shields from Labrov are even better, and Dior thinks, you know what, I think we can win this fight. Look at the damage that comes out from Nuke on his ultimate there. Buys enough time for Labrov and Nuke to be able to secure the kill, and it looks like maybe, just maybe, Nuke, or rather 113 can trade kills, but the shield from Labrov is enough. So really great stuff there from BDS, accruing themselves a 1k gold lead.
And as well, getting 2 kills onto Nuke. He's already got Merc Treads. He's stacking up his tier. The clock is ticking. Already 7 of 16 for that Kassadin. And we wondered if, you know, Sheo could bridge this team to the mid-late game. Well, at the moment, that bridge is looking very sturdy. Zhonghu and Kobe, though, managed to get another plate down towards this bottom side. Don't have a gold lead, though, because of those kills and assists going over to Crownie. So, although the Lux and the Caitlyn in isolation are doing a good job, as soon as those junglers get involved, it's going to the side of BDS.
Finn did roam down to the mid lane, but expect him to be spotted out by all that vision that's covering the top side. You can see the bot lane of Astralis continuing to threaten the tower, and Dior is roaming once again. He has been pinged out, but Sheo, I haven't kept full track. Has he killed his blue buff yet this game? I'm actually going to go back and check.
Okay, you do that. I'll talk about this fight that's happening in the mid lane. Sheo looks for the cocoon. Deo dodges to the side of it, but the Riftwalk can still chase him in. Spider skittling forward, 113 around the side, has that Glacial Prism, but Sheo now hitting 6 and Labrov coming across means that 113 will have to dash back to the safety of his own jungle. And now, Kobe and Jonghun should play a little bit more defensively. You can see them pinging to retreat as they were pushed up towards the tower, and Sheo and Labrov had first move. You're just watching if he's killed his blue buff.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
Right now, Labrov and Sheo are looking to kill off the Astralis bot side. Finn flashing away there. I don't really know.
I'm afraid I actually have no idea either.
Maybe he was thinking another undertow would slow me, but he was so healthy. Anyway, that was the decision that was made, and we'll move on from it. Many of them in the game of League of Legends, and sometimes mistakes like that happen. Could have been typing in chat, for example. Sometimes, you know, you're typing in a timer and you accidentally flash. Nuke, though, continues to trade in the mid lane. A 17-18, almost 20 CS lead now for the Kassadin. It will be negated a little bit.
So he literally walked past his blue like, no, I don't have time, I've got to cover bot lane. Like, Sheo hasn't killed his blue buff yet. He hasn't killed it once. Well, I have a new fun minigame that we're playing this game.
Like, he flashes away from a Ragnarocking Olaf. I guess it kind of makes sense. Wanted to make sure that the undertow couldn't keep hitting. Maybe a little bit defensive, but also if Finn can just survive this lane, he does everything he needs to do. Don't give Adam kills. Don't let him run onto Kobe and Jonghun in the later game fights, and you're in a much better situation as a team. Rift Herald, though, secured for Astralis, trying to get themselves back on the board here as they are hemorrhaging gold a little bit in this early game.
That will be Sheo's third Scuttle Crab on the top side of the map this game. Still hasn't touched his blue. This is fascinating. I don't think I've ever seen a jungler in a competitive game not even touch their blue buff.
Maybe he's allergic, man. Maybe. We don't know.
I don't know, maybe he just doesn't get on with the blue buff this game. Who knows? We'll see if he does end up killing it this game. I'm still keeping my eyes on it.
Well,
but regardless,
there's no way Nuke doesn't kill it at some point. That blue buff is going to die.
He's going towards it, bro.
Is he going to give it to the Kassadin? Nuke's on his way. Oh, he's going back to mid lane.
He's hit the blue buff.
Oh! More action between Sheo and his blue buff than in the top lane so far this game.
Yeah.
He's got it! First blue buff of the game.
11 minutes, 3 seconds.
That's got to be some sort of record.
That has to be a record, yeah. Crazy stuff. In any case, let's get back to the actual game. Overall, BDS find themselves in a pretty comfortable position right now. They've been able to mitigate the early game power that is Caitlyn Lux, and it's nice to see this Ezreal Karma really be a powerful nullifier, but Sheo, he spent so much time covering the bot side.
Cocoon's gonna hit, and even though Jonghun knew he was there, the Spider scaling forward. Oh, the Q just wide. And Jonghun will be able to survive. Ace in the hole comes out as well, but Labrov can tank that one. Jonghun gets out with his flash used and the heal. True Shot Barrage is nowhere near. Thank you, observers, for not baiting us with that one. As we see BDS constantly just pushing this Astralis bot lane around the map, making them really fight for every moment. And a lot of that's been off the back of the fact that Sheo has been there so consistently.
And I mean, this is the man that we need to give credit to because, you know, sure, I was having a bit of a joke about the fact that he didn't kill his blue buff.
You don't need to kill your blue buff if you're killing the opposition, Betty.
Look at what he's been doing with his time. It's just been making sure that Crownie and Labrov have been safe. And remember, we said coming into this game that Astralis' whole game plan is to funnel resources into their bot side of the map. Get the Caitlyn Lux going in the early game. And so far, it just hasn't found success. And do we have those Caitlyn stats?
Yeah, we do.
Let's bring up the Caitlyn stats, because European Caitlyn, it's
Sucks.
not that good. 3 wins, 7 losses, average damage per minute, 471. And we compared it to the LCK Caitlyn to
We
give it
did.
a bit of a comparison to see what it looks like. Over there, it's very good. Teams are not very good here in Europe, or rather in the LCK, shutting down the other game prowess that the Caitlyn does have. And I think BDS demonstrating once again, like, how effective European teams are actually at nullifying this Caitlyn, and bringing into question how effective certain teams can be at utilizing the Caitlyn as well.
I had a brief look at the Caitlyn support stacks in the LCK.
did you? Yeah.
Actually closer in damage minutes to the European Caitlyns than the European Caitlyn AD carries are to the LCK Caitlyn AD carries.
So the LCK supports do as much damage as our AD carries do on Caitlyn.
Yeah, about,
Cool,
about
cool.
a
Yeah,
comparable
cool.
amount.
That's cool, yeah, cool. Uh-huh.
I mean, it's carrier. So
What's MSI?
it's in our city as well, mate.
It is.
It's in our city.
Dragon will go down in favor of Astralis. That will be the first of the game. But this Kassadin continues to tick away. 2-0-1, level 10. Only 6 levels away from that 16, but hell, a level 11 in and of itself is quite scary.